Last night on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome inside the Fan Cave. Bob Pompeani here at 412-575-2600. That's the number of the hotline here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Hit us up on Twitter if you don't want to call. It's at KD Pomp or at Chris Mueller PGH. Chris is in on a Tuesday night, a little bit of a change there. And Chris, one thing that hasn't changed, the Penguins can't score goals, and they certainly can't score on the power play. And tonight they go to a team like New Jersey, which had been struggling, and they fell actually below the Penguins in the standings. They were throwing the puck all over the place. Malkin took a penalty, to me, changed the game all around. It was an unnecessary penalty. He goes to the box, and they immediately score.
Bob, since neither Pony nor I told you that we are doing what amounts to a little pick swap for this show, would you like me to start as if I'm Pony? Bob, I don't understand what Mike Sullivan is still doing behind the Penguins bench. This team has lost this team, and they are losing games. No, I mean, in all seriousness, my main takeaway watching that game was it is a sign of bad coaching and understanding everybody on the outside. I thought it was a pathetic effort the last 10 minutes of that game, and that reflects on no one more than it does Mike Sullivan.
And you know, the thing about it is we've seen the Steelers make sort of drastic changes here in the last week, and I wonder what Kyle Dubas will do. He's kind of limited in what he can do. Specific to no trade clauses that most of these guys have, either limited or full. You know, to me, I don't know what the answer is. I honestly don't, other than falling far enough down where you get a pick that maybe could lead to something, you know, in the draft department. But quite frankly, there aren't any easy answers here. They can go to free agency if they want, but they still have money owed, some big money owed. And looking back now, Erik Karlsson and Ryan Graves were two bad moves. And I know what Erik Karlsson is. He's a good player normally, individually, but he never seems to be on teams that challenge for anything. Maybe a year here and there, but by and large, he has been far worse than I thought he could be. I don't care about the points. What I care about is how he plays defense and his effect on this team. They actually doubled down on what they already had, and they didn't change the dynamic of their team whatsoever.
Well, if you're expecting Erik Karlsson to play defense, I think you're looking at the wrong guy there. Graves, pound for pound, has been even worse. I heard on the broadcast tonight, just offhandedly, Josh Getzoff said, yeah, 6 years, $27 million deal, again, that he inked this offseason to come from the Devils to the Penguins. And I'm thinking, Josh, buddy, like, it's cruel enough that we have to watch this team play. You don't have to remind us of what this contract is for him. Josh Yohe brought up an interesting point, Bob. I think that there's at least reason to think about shipping Karlsson back to Ottawa in a deal that might just benefit both sides. He would probably waive his no-movement clause because he still spends his off-seasons there. They could maybe use the jolt that he would bring to that franchise. He wouldn't have to be their top defenseman because they've replenished a little bit. I think that's a way you get a lot of money off the books and start retooling this team. Send him to a place that he apparently still likes to be.
Interesting thought, and that would save some money depending on how much they would take from Pittsburgh. So that would be negotiable. We got a lot coming up here, Chris. A lot of people already on the lines want to talk about Duquesne, want to talk about the Steelers and other things. We'll do that as the NCAA tournament comes to Pittsburgh, while Duquesne, which is hosting it here, has to go out to Omaha, Nebraska. A nice situation, I suppose, but they'd rather be playing here. If they didn't host it, they might have. Who knows? We'll talk about it all as we continue. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call here on KDKA Plus and 93.7 The Fan. GMC Sierra tweet of the night is from Duquesne basketball. Thank you, Dukes, as they celebrate first opportunity in 47 years. They're in Omaha. They'll practice tomorrow. They play a 12:40 game. You can see it on True TV while games are underway here in Pittsburgh at PPG Paints Arena. It's a tremendous story. There's no doubt about that. And yesterday, of course, you hear that Keith Dambrot is going to retire after 7 years here, 26 in the business. We wish him the best. I know he's dealing with a situation with his wife and cancer, so we pray for that family, and hopefully they'll have a little bit of run. I will say, Chris, that BYU is a team that can be beatable. We've seen 11 seeds beat 60s, but what this team does is they shoot the rock from outside very effectively, and Duquesne better be aware of that and try to shut it down as best they can.
I mean, Duquesne turned some of those A-10 tournament games into rock fights. The second half of the championship game against VCU, guys who can score on the perimeter, they absolutely have a chance.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. And then who knows? If it's Illinois, they can handle that team, I believe, and at least make it competitive. I'd just like to see it for Keith Dambrot's sake.
Well, Pony put them in the Elite Eight on Twitter, which is just an absolute kiss of death. So if people are of the betting mind, maybe bet BYU to win, and then you'll be happy if Duquesne wins, or you'll be at least somewhat, relieved. You'll have the balm of winning a few dollars. But Pony's saying Elite Eight, automatic smooch of death.
That's a big stretch, I think. And then it would be UConn after that, presumably. Let's go to our number one Cochrane Go One Better caller of the night. It's John in Cranberry. John, good evening.
Hey, Bob and Chris, thanks for taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of stories this last 2 weeks in Pittsburgh sports. I don't think I can remember a time busier, but I think that the Duquesne story is my favorite. I'm so happy for the school, for the players, for the coaches, for Coach Dombrot retiring. And Bob, I know your wife went there, all the alumni. It's a great story. And one thing that's not been talked about much is Ray Goss. Ray Goss, for those who don't know, has the longest tenured radio play-by-play in all of Division I in the country. He's done 56 years of Duquesne basketball. And, it's funny. His first game was March 17, 1968, an NIT game against Fordham. And then 56 years later,
There he is.
He sees him go back.
That's
He's
back
an
when the
amazing
NIT
person.
was That's back when the NIT was a big stinking deal.
Yeah, it was.
It was.
It was the tournament, I
300
think.
Games since then, too, I think. So I just wanted, I wanted to get your thoughts.
Well, shout out to
on
Ray
your
Goss,
thoughts.
because he's been doing this consistently and outstandingly for all these years. And 56, man, that's a lot of time. Let's go out to Chuck in Uniontown. Joins us right now on the fan hotline. Actually, not the fan hotline, but it could be. Go ahead, Chuck.
Good evening, fellas, and thank you. First of all, congratulations to Keith Dambrot and prayers for his family. But I'd like to know, where does Duquesne go for replacement? Two people I was thinking of, if they go outside. Mark Smith at St. Bonaventure, he coached at Bobby Lowe. And Herb Sundick, I think he's out of St. Mary's or Santa Barbara in California, but he is a Penn Hills native, I do believe.
Chuck,
I think they're going to go Drew Joyce.
Yeah, I think he's
the
there,
answer,
and he
Bob.
got the endorsement from Dambrot anyway, and they have a history together, so that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah,
But-
I would think it's going to be Drew Joyce, and they're going to just try to keep this thing rolling with him, Bob, because that seems like you'd want some continuity there, wouldn't you?
Yeah. And I don't know, I haven't checked the NBA schedule. Is LeBron James playing on Thursday, and would there be a chance that he could fly in and surprise that team?
I mean, the Lakers are very underwhelming right now, so he might as well. It'd be a better use of his time than having that team that's like barely above 500 getting all those press clippings. I would imagine, Bob, he can't do that, though, if I just had to guess, unless they were somehow right on the East Coast, which I doubt, and he could almost like make a quick scoot over. But I'm willing to bet you get a tweet from LeBron James saying, go Dukes, something like that. I mean, is there any program of their size that has a a rooting section as big as LeBron? I don't think you'll find like a mid-major program and maybe the most famous athlete on the planet, not named Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo, cheering for you like that.
Yeah, or Ryan Graves. Let's go out to JB in Shadyside. Joins us right now. What's up, JB?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey.
So I'm watching Virginia right now get destroyed. Can't help think, Pitt was definitely giving Colorado State a better game.
No doubt.
Aliquippa might have given Colorado State a better game, JB.
Yeah.
I know. I can't. It's just, it makes me want to cry, honestly. Anyway, but what made people think Dubas was this great GM? His teams never did well in the playoffs. Can you answer this for me?
No, great. He was one of those young, up-and-coming guys who got a lot of nice press. They went out and got some big deals. He never solved their goaltending issue there, and you're right. They never had the kind of success. The Fenway Sports Group, hook, line, and sinker went into this. They gave him a 7-year deal. So, you think Sullivan has a long deal. He has a long deal, which he probably needs to straighten this out given where they are right now. And again, Chris, I don't know. He came into this knowing what they were. He also knew he was somewhat handcuffed into what he could do. And here you are now in a situation where everybody around you is getting faster, younger. You're getting older, slower, and there aren't many things you can do to change it immediately.
I think he put good rosters together by and large in Toronto. They just fizzled in the playoffs, and we know what a cauldron that is. I don't necessarily think, though, that he was instrumental in all those guys being acquired, so I can't even give him that much credit. But this is going to be the offseason where I think we find out what Kyle Dubas is made of. He knew what the edict was, and now they've all seen it blow up pretty spectacularly, and it's his moves that have blown up. I mean, he's given out multiple bad contracts. He's made a bad trade, very bad trade in the end, because Carlson just hasn't delivered. He's going to, I think, have more leeway from ownership and an understanding, hey, I need to change this team fundamentally this offseason, but we'll see if he's actually able to do that. Knowing you need to do it is one thing. Being able to do it is another thing altogether.
Especially when everybody else knows the situation you're in.
Right.
Let's go out to Dave in New Swickley. Hey, Dave, what's up?
Hey, Bob, how you guys doing tonight?
We're good, thanks.
Hey, how short-lived is this, Bob? Kenny Pickett came back and brought the Steelers back in 5 games this year. I think they acted too fast on this move. They had probably the best 2 quarterbacks in the NFL right there playing together, Rudolph and Pickett.
Best? Now, first of all, you must not be watching what we're watching. I give Rudolph full credit for what he was able to do, and I'm glad actually for his sake he is where he is, because I think he has a shot to deal with Will Levis. But listen, if you want to, they needed something to shake this thing up. They needed, and they had people in their own locker room calling for change, and you had a potential divided locker room, so they had to do something. And I think they're taking a chance on 2 guys, but this is a chance you should take given the low asking price and the money involved, Chris. So, now it's up to them to put it together and make this thing happen. And now there's word they're looking at a big wide receiver. I know a Pony tweeted out there today, but Ayuk, I would think today, given what Jerry Jeudy got that from Cleveland, which was, I think, 3 years, $58 million, or 4, whatever it was, $58 million,
Yep.
41 guaranteed. If you look at his numbers in Denver, not even at all close to some of the elite wide receivers. What do you think the price tag on Ayuk or anyone else in that, classification will be?
24 million is what SpotTrack has it on Ayuk, and we know that they wanted Zay Jones and the 17th pick from Jacksonville, and that was too rich for Jacksonville. Humor me on this one, Bob, because I tweeted it out just because I'm kind of ruminating over wide receivers they could go and make a play for, even guys who aren't publicly available. Like, you can always knock on the door, call up a team and say, hey, is so-and-so available, and what would you take for him, right? How about Terry McLaurin? Mediocre to inconsistent quarterback play, 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons, got a year left after 2024 on his deal, something like a $24 million cap hit, highly productive, 0 diva tendencies whatsoever. Mm-hmm. Mike Tomlin loves Ohio State guys. For the record, this is a Mueller idea. I don't have any reason to believe the Steelers have even sniffed around Terry McLaurin, but he is a more consistent producing wide receiver than Brandon Ayuk, who pretty much comes for about the same price, if not a little bit less. I'd look into guys like that, but I have no indication that they have done so.
Yeah, I like Terry McLaurin. I have. He's been putting up numbers despite, you're right, musical chairs at quarterback at time, although Sam Howell had a decent run a little bit this year. One more call in here, and that would be Rudy in Castle Shannon. Rudy, how are you?
Hey, good. How are you? I got a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Pitt got snubbed from going into the
NIT?
Finals, but I understand why wouldn't they go into the NIT? Like, does if you go to NIT, do you lose money?
I think you make a little bit. You got home games. They could have gotten a couple of home games. I would imagine they would have been one of the higher seeds. I don't know. I think it's good for young players to play. They got a pretty young team. If all of them are going to come back, and I'll tell you what, I hate to say this, Chris, but with John Calipari in town, he's the guy who can go out and get some guys, and NIL money, being what it is more of a check mark for a team like that and a program like that than what you have here. So I hope I see Bub Carrington back. I'm not going to guarantee that.
He said he's coming back, but who knows? I mean, maybe his draft stock rises. The reason you don't play in the NIT is simple. What if a guy like Bub Carrington is fully intent on coming back and he hurts his knee, tears up his knee?
Well, he doesn't have to play, but
happen.
The rest of the team can.
No, okay, then where do you draw the line? Jalen Lowe shouldn't play either then. Does Ish Leggett play? What does he have to gain? I'm really bothered that they're not in the NCAA tournament. We shouldn't even be talking about them not doing the NIT. Virginia's got like 25 points with like 8 minutes left right now.
Yeah.
The real impractical joke. The real impractical jokers on True TV are from Charlottesville, Virginia.
14 points in the first half of the Cavaliers. They stink. They shouldn't have been in there. This is a legacy pick. And if you want to get your opinion heard, don't forget to tune in to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call tonight at 10:35 on KDKA+. So give us a call at 412-575-2600. We do it every night after the 10 o'clock news. For CBS News Pittsburgh, I'm Bob Pompeani.